has given me brave men to lead into battle. Now, forwards! Victory awaits!
Welcome to Ancient Military History, a channel dedicated to providing visual representation of how ancient militaries operated and waged war, going into detail about the real tactics they used to win battles, and showing you, the viewer, how this would have looked in ancient times. In this video, we will be describing the devastating Battle of Carrhae that took place in 53 BC. This battle was fought between the Romans led by Marcus Licineus Crassus, and the Parthian Empire, led by General Surena. This battle took place outside the ancient city of Carrhae, or modern-day Harran in Turkey. Crassus was a part of the first triumvirate, 3 Roman leaders who commanded the Roman Republic. The other 2 leaders were Pompey the Great and Julius Caesar, who had become well known for their military prowess. Pompey was famous for crushing the slave revolt of Spartacus, and also for his conquests in Africa, Spain, and so on. Caesar was adored by his legions for his conquests in Germania and Gaul, not to mention his moving and eloquent speeches in the Senate. Crassus, however, was not known for his military successes, which put him on a lower pedestal than that of his so-beloved rivals. He had come to power through entrepreneurship, bringing himself up through business to become the richest man in Rome. After all, if you can't fight for power, you buy it. Seeing how the Republic adored his counterparts for their military accomplishments, Crassus set out to achieve his own in order to advance his and his family's political position. And so he headed east. The famous historian Plutarch wrote in his biography about Crassus, being strangely puffed up and his head heated, he proposed himself and his hopes to pass as far as Bactria and India and the utmost ocean. Crassus decided his first conquest would be the wealthy kingdom of Parthia. Due to their close proximity to Rome and their growing size, he saw them as ripe for invasion. However, before his plans even came to fruition, they were almost ended by means of public opinion. Prior to this time, Rome had only conquered lands that may have been considered hostile or a threat to the Republic. The land of Parthia was neither. The main voice of opposition, the tribune Ateius, stated that one man shouldn't undertake a war against a people that had done them no injury and even had a treaty with Rome. Though passionately opposed, it did not deter the 60-year-old commander from his pursuit of glory. And so, joined by his son Publius, Crassus and his army headed for Syria. Using his vast wealth to build an army, he amassed a force of 7 legions, about 35,000 legionnaires, 4,000 light infantry, and 4,000 cavalry. His campaign was not without multiple blunders. First, Crassus ignored the strong opposition from the Roman tribunes. Second, Crassus refused the help from a Roman ally, the king of Armenia, who offered 40,000 men to help fight, offered his kingdom as a refuge for the Roman soldiers to rest and resupply, and offered the triumvir to invade Parthia through his kingdom of Armenia. Crassus refused all of the above and continued marching through the desert. Third, Crassus rejected the Parthian king, who had attempted to negotiate and would have allowed the Romans to return home. Fourth, Crassus chose to listen to the advice of a deceitful Arab chief, Ariamnes, who convinced the triumvir that the best way to the Parthians was through the scorching desert, leading the soldiers far away from water and shelter, and right into a Parthian ambush. Lastly, the decisively fatal mistake Crassus had made was not having a healthy respect for his enemy. He unwittingly chose to invade the unfamiliar kingdom of Parthia, whose tactics were all but unknown in a land whose open terrain and unbearable heat were completely foreign to Roman soldiers. Crassus was ignorant to the Parthian way of war, which was vastly different than the Roman block style of infantry warfare. In fact, the Romans up to this point had never faced an adversary that fought like the Parthians. Roman warfare was very much dedicated to its infantry. Typically, the mighty infantry would engage their opponents in a checkered line, with the cavalry positioned on the sides for possible flanking maneuvers, and they would all beat down the enemy by means of brute force. Parthian warfare, however, was fought almost entirely on horseback. Whereas the Romans focused all its might on foot soldiers, the Parthians focused on creating a formidable cavalry, which gave them immense hit-and-run strength. They could ride up, pelt their enemy with arrows, and leave before the enemy even got close. Before this battle, the Romans regarded such hit-and-run tactics as cowardly. But they were soon to find out that there's a difference between cowardice and lethal efficiency. General Surena and the Parthians awaited the Romans in ambush near the town of Carrhae. He led a force of 9,000 horse archers, or light cavalry, and 1,000 cataphracts, heavy shock cavalry fully equipped for a full frontal attack on enemy lines. The cataphracts and their horses wore scale armor and chainmail, equipped with lances and bows and arrows, making their cavalry the most terrifying sea of metal ever to emerge from the horizon of a vast desert. Finally, the exhausted and dehydrated Roman army arrived just outside of Carrhae, and Crassus sent out a patrol to scan the area. Only a handful of the scouts returned, barely alive and impaled by arrows. The Parthians were coming. In a sheer panic, Crassus lined up the Romans to protect him from every side. Not only did this tactic cost him mobility, but it reduced the efficiency of the Roman army. As the Romans made their slow approach towards their enemy, the echo of Parthian drums resonated through the air and greatly unsettled the wary soldiers. As Plutarch wrote, "For the Parthians do not incite themselves to battle with horns or trumpets, but they have hollow drums of distended hide, covered with bronze bells. And on these they beat all at one in many quarters, and the instruments give forth a low and dismal tone." Surena and his army marched towards the Romans in a wide column so as to conceal his true numbers. He also ordered his cataphracts to conceal their armor with cloth coverings. When they were within sight of the Romans, the cataphracts all at once removed their cloths to reveal their shining scale armor. However, this intimidation tactic seemed to have no effect on the disciplined Roman soldiers. The battle began. Surena sent forth his light archers to surround the Roman square. Roman skirmishers attempted to drive the horse archers off, but they were met with heavy fire and retreated. Then the Parthians showered the Roman ranks with thousands of arrows, which could pierce their armor and even penetrate their shields. The Romans arranged themselves in testudo, or turtle, formation, but they couldn't completely protect themselves. They were so tightly packed together, making themselves an unmissable target for the archers, who constantly inflicted wounds on any exposed limbs. Some historians state that some arrows would nail their shield to their body, or nail their feet to the ground. Unable to move and unable to fight back due to their restrictive formation, the Romans were helpless as the Parthian heavy cavalry, the cataphracts, took advantage of this weakness, and they would repeatedly charge into the Roman line until they abandoned the testudo formation, which opened them up to attack by the arrows of the light cavalry. Crassus had hoped that the Parthians would eventually run out of arrows, but their enemy was constantly resupplied by thousands of armored camels, giving the tired Romans no relief from the hailstorm of arrows. Seeing that the enemy archers would not run out of ammunition, and the strength of his men was dwindling, Crassus sent his son Publius and his remaining cavalry, only 1,500 men, on a last-chance counterattack. This seemed to work at first, and sent the Parthian horse archers retreating. However, this too was a feint. Once Publius and his men were far away enough from the Roman square, the horse archers suddenly halted, and the Romans found themselves surrounded by the archers and cataphracts, resulting in their inevitable slaughter. Awaiting a result from the counterattack, the Romans soon became disheartened by the sight of Publius's head on a spear, carried by the returning cataphracts. Though greatly demoralized, the Romans continued to fight against the endless barrage of Parthian arrows, which did not stop until nightfall. Being ill-equipped for nighttime warfare, the Parthians ceased fire and set up camp far away from the Romans, giving the latter some much-needed relief. However, overcome by despair and crippled by the tragic death of his son, the coward Crassus took the remainder of the Roman army and retreated to Carrhae. He left behind 4,000 wounded soldiers, whom the Parthians ruthlessly slaughtered the next day. Stuck in the town of Carrhae and unable to escape to Armenia, Crassus was offered one last chance to negotiate a truce. He was hesitant, but the remaining Roman troops threatened mutiny if he did not. So, Crassus met with the Parthians and was murdered during negotiations. It was a humiliating defeat for the Romans. Out of the 40,000 men Crassus had brought with him, 20,000 were killed and 10,000 were captured. The remaining 10,000 somehow managed to escape Carrhae. The Parthians, however, only lost about 100 men. Though it was a triumphant victory for the Parthians, General Surena was rewarded with execution. As one historian, Ron Singerton, put it, "One must beware of jealous kings." Crassus' death aggravated tensions between the remaining rivals of the triumvirate, and the imbalance of power between Pompey the Great and Julius Caesar was a catalyst for the impending Roman Civil War. Thank you for watching Ancient Military History, your go-to resource for the strategies and tactics used by ancient militaries throughout history to conquer their foes. We are a brand new channel, and your support would mean the world to us. So, if you liked this video and would like to see more, please subscribe and leave in the comments which ancient military battle you'd like to see next. Until next time, thank you and have a wonderful day.